I always do this. Why do I do this? What up, what up, what up? Welcome, Living Hope people. Today is a special day. We are going to interview some guests from Bethlehem Christian Academy. And so let's give a round of applause to our guests, Olivia and Alec, as they're in the house. Dude, that's awesome. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get started.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Alec Bissey. I'm a member at August Gate Church over in Belleville, so local. Got to represent the Belleville family. I do youth ministry there, so I get to hang out with a bunch of wild students, which is awesome. And then I also work for an organization called the Nations Initiative, which is part of what we're going to get to talk about today, which is great. But we've been married a little over 2 years. Love hiking, love pickleball, all of the cliche young adult things, right? But big fans of that. And then she's a country girl, so I married into a country family. So I bought my first pair of boots last year, which is a big deal.
You'll never buy another pair. That's what I hear.
Probably
now
not.
He's got a truck too.
Yeah. Oh, and I got a truck.
And you got a truck.
Yeah.
Oh!
So I'm fully committed. The financial investment is there, so there's no turning
10
back
miles
now.
to the gallon.
Yeah,
and,
exactly. No, it's a Tacoma, so it's more like 15.
There we go.
More like 15.
Yeah. Let's go Toyota. Team Toyota.
Come on, let's go. Team Toyota. So that's a bit about me.
That's awesome. How about you, Olivia?
Yeah, my name is Olivia. I work for Bethlehem Christian Academy, which partners with TNI. Super into photography. Love the photography world.
She's very good.
Have you done weddings yet?
Okay, so my first one is right after Thanksgiving.
Let's go.
I'm gonna second shoot, so
that's great.
Not like right up in the whole thing, but helping. So I'm excited to learn.
It is a wild ride at a wedding. And
there's a lot of pressure.
There's so much pressure.
If you miss the moment, it's gone.
It's gone.
Yeah.
And that's what
that's
the beauty, that's the beauty of the
own.
second shot. The second shot person is like, you're just kind of like the backup, hitting up different angles and doing the deal, but it's a lot.
I'm doing it with Kevin, so it's gonna be Kevin Wright. So
that's awesome.
That's
you're gonna have so much fun.
Yeah.
You're just gonna have chill time with it.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell a little bit about how we all got connected? I don't even know, what's our origin story. How did we get connected?
Well, you've always been the youth guy that shows up at camp.
I'm the youth guy that shows up at camp.
Yeah. So that's what I do.
Let's talk about camp. What camp are we talking about?
Redemption Ranch.
Woo!
Summer camps. Yeah. So my family runs the camps, and so my dad knows you, Jason Zelmer, and so I've always known who you are, but then I didn't really get to experience you, I guess, per se, until camp. And you were always the hype guy. So everyone loves when you're there.
So in this camp, I'm the hype guy?
You are the hype guy. Heck yeah. You're the guy who will walk around and get up in kids' faces and they love you.
That's awesome. Dude, that's
They talk about you all year long.
Do they?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, legitimately.
Because they got you at camp and then a spring conference at Heights a couple years back. They were over the moon. They were so pumped.
Oh, that is so cool. Oh, that's off to my heart. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so we met through camp, and then how did you guys get involved with the organization that you're a part of now?
Yeah, so I met Martin Winslow a year ago. I was working at the MBCH, so Missouri Baptist Children's Home. I always want to say the convention. It's not the convention.
It's not the convention.
So yeah, I worked there, and I was just looking for a new opportunity. It was a far drive, and there was just some other things going on in our life, and so I was trying to find something that was a bit closer to home, but also more in the mission and not just doing the back end work of the mission. And so I was just looking for an opportunity to be a little bit more involved. And so I had been reaching out to a few people, and Darren Casper actually gave me the contact for Martin Winslow. He's the director at the Metro. And so I got his contact, and I gave Martin a call, and then it just took off from there. I did several interviews, and then I just got connected. But right before that, I was just praying, Lord, please give me an opportunity that's involved with mission trips somehow. That's what my heart was. And whenever I got connected with Martin, I had no clue what this job was at all. I was just told, this guy has a job. You should call him. And I was like, okay. So I gave him a call.
Ring, ring. What's
Yeah.
up, man? I need a job.
Yeah.
I love Jesus.
Uh-huh.
Help me out.
I just knew it was in the mission, in
Yeah.
ministry. And so I was like, all right, I'll give this guy a call. We'll see what happens.
Dang.
And I didn't know what the job was until I got to the interview.
Wow. Listen, you're out here just trying to work.
Yeah, I just knew it
hustling.
was involved with schools. And I honestly, I'm not in the education field. I don't have any kind of experience with teaching or any of that.
Yeah.
And so I was really like, how am I going to, I don't know if this is going to be for me. Yeah. But then I showed up and he just talked about I have a real heart for administration, but then also being on mission. And so this job really engulfs all of that, and I get to do a lot of things that are really cool. So
Dude, that's
yeah.
awesome. We'll get back to you. And then Alec, tell us a little bit about your branch. How did you end up getting involved in that?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, as she mentioned, what we connected with a guy named Martin Wizzo. He works for the Missouri Baptist Convention. He's the leader of missions mobilization there. And then he's involved in St. Louis Metro, a lot of different pockets. He does everything.
That's awesome.
But we became friends with him and then his family, which they're phenomenal. They're super great people. So just became close to them over the course of Liv's first year working with BCA. And this past summer, he reached out and was basically like, hey, an offshoot of Bethlehem Christian Academy is an organization called the Nations Initiative, which does church planning and training and resourcing for indigenous churches overseas. And he reached out to me and was basically just saying hey, I have an opportunity to an open position to help lead this organization, and I think that you'd be great at it. And initially I was just like, man, I've never felt called to the international missions as this is the calling on my life. Yeah. And so automatically I'm I don't know if I'm the guy for that. But he was just super encouraging about pointing out just ways he thought I'd be gifted at it, and wanting somebody who had a heart for the church, who had a heart for people, and also had the ability to kind of administrate some of those things. He's just I think you'd be great. So we prayed about it. I was working at a local machine shop in Madison, Illinois.
Come on,
doing
paying the
spray.
bills.
Paying the
thermal
bills.
spray, which is great. Amazing people. I love the owners. So that was a huge blessing. But I also knew that wasn't the long-term direction on my life, and wasn't sure exactly what was next. And so there was kind of a 10-year window of I don't know what God is taking me to next job-wise. So I'm going to work. I'm going to do whatever's necessary to provide for our family. But at the same time, I don't know what's coming. And then this opportunity came up, and he's like, hey, I'm looking for somebody who has their head in it for 10 years. I'm like, well, that's exactly what I wasn't sure was coming next. And so it was really just a God thing. And even though it wasn't something that I necessarily felt overly equipped for, or my heart wasn't there beforehand, it was just God knowing better than I could ever know.
I love with both of you, it's because it's kind of open hand, Lord, whatever you have, I'll just do. And that's the one thing I appreciate about you. I call this couple the couple of the year because they're working with each other, they're ministering with each other. And Alec, I want to be on record on this. You are one of the most gifted individuals I've ever met. I think that
I'll second.
You're humble, you're talented, you have a heart for God's people. And so I think you can literally put your hand to anything and you'll be successful at it. That's why I love that this is happening in your branch of life, that you get to help churches to be planted and unreached people groups. And so let's talk a little bit about BCA. What is BCA, and what's the vision as we're thinking about and talking about, hey, what does it look like to partner with BCA? What does this look like for Living Hope Church and to partner with you guys? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so our goal at BCA is to we started schools to get into communities to then plant churches. So it's a church planting strategy, and so that's kind of the bridge between both of the organizations. But our goal is to come into a community, to establish a school, to feed kids every day, to then provide opportunities to hear the gospel. We do a devotion every day. They're in chapel every day. They are hearing the word continuously. But we are in these really, really poor areas. So areas that have nothing. And so they don't have food. They don't have any resources. And so we come into these areas and start a school to then lead to planting churches, because it's really hard to get into places in Africa without something that you're providing them that they need, if that makes sense. And so we provide them with something they need to then establish relationships to then lead to plant churches.
Yeah, it's much more difficult to come into a community and start with a church.
Yeah.
But when you're like, hey, here is free education,
dude,
and a nutritious meal, then
Let's
they're like,
go.
oh, I'm gonna jump on that.
Amen.
And then they like you, and then it just sets the stage for so much further opportunity.
Come on.
Yeah. So
Go for it.
Our mission statement is to share the hope of Jesus Christ with orphans and impoverished children through gospel-centered Christian education, with the goal of planting churches and making disciples. So that's it, kind of bottled up into a sentence.
And I this is the reason why I love this is I think the Church of America should actually learn this model. I think gone are the days of build it and they will come. I think we should provide centers that could build into our communities, love on our communities well, and invite people in, and then have that host for discipleship. I think of Matthew chapter 28, which we all know very well, but when Jesus resurrected, some believed and some doubted. It says, go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Teach them to obey. That's the NLT version. That's Jose's favorite translation right there. Obey all that I have commanded, and be sure of this. I'm with you always, even into the end of the age. So I'm thinking about how can we house and hold discipleship? And we're saying, hey, we're going to do that through a church, with the thought process of not only providing Christian education, but physical needs. And let's plant a church while we're at it.
Yeah.
So that's pretty dope. So let's talk about this church planting arm as well. Tell us a little bit about that. What's the heart and vision behind that?
Yeah, absolutely. So as she mentioned, BCA, Bethlehem Christian Academy, was started with that end goal of planting churches. And so they would initially begin a stool. A few years into that, they had the partners and the leaders indigenously to begin to start church planting. But I mean, God just blessed that ministry incredibly, and it just grew and grew and grew. And as they began to be involved in more than one country, it just became too much for one organization, one executive to manage churches and schools. I mean, thousands of students. It's a lot. And so the work was already begun under just the umbrella of Bethlehem Christian Academy. But then as of a couple years ago, they created an organization called the Nations Initiative, which took all of the church planting side away from that. So that way BCA could be exclusively focused on kids, education, sharing the gospel with orphans, sponsorships, things like that. And then the churches could be its own separate branch, just in order to be as effective as possible. So in every community where there's a school, we want the kids at the school to have a church.
Generally, we put them on campus, so it's right next door. So it's right in front of them.
So that was the initial vision, and then what that has become is in each of our fields, our countries where we're actively involved, we have dozens of church planners who are a part of the T&I network. Which we're building it out. It's still new, but the goal is for it to function similarly to a church planting network here in the States, where there's ongoing rhythms of discipleship. There's training and resourcing. Every year we're taking teams of pastors from the U.S. to lead training conferences for our indigenous pastors.
Dope, bro. Super dope.
Because I mean, ultimately, indigenous pastors in their home country, if they're trained well, will be infinitely more effective than a Westerner could be in that context.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you're talking decades of trying to acclimate to a new country. If I was to go over, but if we pour into guys who are saved, who love the Lord, who have the heart for ministry, but just don't have the tools, we can help equip them, shape them. Then they're. I mean, we're just going to throw fire on what they're already doing, throw gas on their fire,
Yeah, dude.
It's crazy, too, because, some of these pastors don't even have Bibles. And so Whenever I was there,
Right?
Yeah. I know. I was there recently in August, and just to see these guys walking through the line, we gave everyone who came to the pastors' conference a Bible, and they're just weeping because they've never gotten one, and to see just like I don't know how you could be a pastor without the Bible, but it's awesome that they are, and they're just
awesome.
going.
Yeah.
Like,
It's awesome that they're willing.
Yeah.
And that they're pouring in, but it's like, dude, the tools and resources. And again, we take it for granted because we're in America. You could pick whatever Bible you want. If you don't like this cover, buy another cover, right? Or this study
Yeah, we've
guide
got like 5 in our living room, and and it's just sparse there, and they don't have access to it.
Wow.
And so,
wow.
It's impactful.
And so what I love about this concept is like what I need y'all to know is pastors need discipling too. We are also sheep too. And so with the beauty of partnering with like Acts 29 Network, Mission Metro, and even the SBC of like what they do is they train and equip pastors for the ongoing work and global partners to keep doing the work that they're doing. So I love that this is a branch of like, dude, we're going to love on people. We're going to train them, disciple them, equip them with the Bible. Hopefully Living Hope can give more than Bibles. We're trying to do more out here. But that is so awesome that they can get that because again, we're thinking these. I haven't even been there yet, but I'm just thinking about unreached or out there in the middle of nowhere. It's not like Wi-Fi is just up in the middle of nowhere, and maybe some places do have it, but like equipping pastors to do the work that they're called to do is just phenomenal.
Yeah, so and something that I think I knew theoretically, but then it opened my eyes before I was even like working for TNI. We had the opportunity to go to Kenya this past February and visit some building sites where TNI had helped to build church buildings for pastors. And like you're talking a 20-minute dirt bike ride on the worst roads you've ever seen up to the top of a mountain. Like it's rural, and so they don't really have community with one another. Most of them don't have vehicles or transportation like at all. So when you're talking about like pastors in the US feel isolated, like these guys have no one except the people they're responsible to pour into. And in somewhere like Kenya, if you're a pastor, you're also, it's the expectation that you're gonna have orphans living with you. So they have 15 kids living with them, and then their flock, and then most of the time not someone that's pouring into them, checking up on them. There's not a shared brotherhood, as everybody has their own load. And so attacking that problem is difficult. And how we would do it in Western culture doesn't necessarily perfectly translate. But that's the problem that we're seeking to address is not only how can we help resource, how can we help build buildings, how can we invest, but also how can we make sure these guys are healthy and invested in and discipled to where they can continue to give and give and give and not feel like this entire weight is fully on their shoulders.
Dude, that's awesome.
So that's kind of the heart and the vision behind the church planning wing of what we get to do together.
Can you tell me a little bit about BCA, Bethlehem Christian Academy? I gotta make sure we make it clear what we're talking about.
So like the Air Force in here, man.
So many acronyms. BCA. Tell us about the educational model. Like how do you guys find the teachers, the administrators, and then how are the students coming in? Because I heard a little bit from your video. There's all different types of students that show up to your school, not just Christians. And so talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, first, I haven't said we're in 5 countries.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, 5 countries. We have 2,552 students.
Give that number again, sorry.
2,552 students.
Wow.
It's a lot. And then we have 212 staff in Africa and just 2 here in the U.S.
Wow.
So,
are you the 2 in the United States, or is it?
No, so it's me and I have an assistant.
Oh,
Piper.
Okay, got it.
So,
for BCA.
For BCA, and then TNI, it's just you.
Yeah, just me
on the state side.
Come on,
but our goal is to equip nationals in state or in country. Sorry, and so that's our goal, and to give jobs, to provide more of a means for their community, and all of our teachers are Christians. we have directors in each field. So we're 5 countries, there's 5 directors. And those 5 directors we have vetted, we trust, we really love them, and we trust them to then hire within their country. We're not going to try to go over there and be like, oh, we want to hire you, because I don't know them. And good. So we give that to our directors, and then they hire those people. And generally they try to find people within their church and within the community. And we make sure that they, like, we know that they're Christians. We know that they're seeking to find Christians. And so we just trust them to do that well. So, yeah.
And then when it comes to the teachers and the administrators, how about what's the curriculum per se that you guys use for these kids? Like, what are we just walking through the Bible? Are we just teaching them math, reading, writing, all of it? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah. So they have to, it's weird. In Africa, they have all these guidelines that they have to follow from the state. And so they generally teach them education as the state requires, but then they throw in chapel every day. And so generally that's taught by the pastor that's on the site. So in every field but one, we have a church on campus.
That's
or
awesome.
in the area. And that field that doesn't have one just started. And so we haven't had the opportunity or the relationship yet. It's coming. It's just not there yet. So yeah, we tried to provide the opportunities for that, and then we just that pastor in that field is then required to share the gospel with them and do it well. And in Zambia this year, we're in Zambia. We had 20 kids that came to faith this year.
Come on, yes.
Through discipleship, through the church
go.
body that's there,
Yeah.
that's on campus, and the pastor there that's discipling them.
Wow.
So, yeah,
Wow.
that's just an example.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm thinking about James 1:27 on this, specifically for the school. It's like, religion that is pure and undefiled before God the Father is this, to look after orphans and widows in their distress. And I'm just thinking about some of these kids that are coming out that are in this rural context. There's no access really to education, but you guys are providing that. So tell me a little bit about the students that are coming around the community or across. I don't know. I haven't been there yet.
Yeah,
so we're talking about going there. But
well, yeah, just like Alex said, these kids walk from really far to get to their school. So some are walking like 5 miles a day to get to school, and then they walk 5 miles home.
both ways.
And it's worth it to them.
Come on.
And that's why they do it, because education here, we all like hate it because it's, yeah. And there it's a treasure. It's a gift, because that's something that isn't provided for them. The state doesn't pay for it. It's something that is really rare. And if you're educated, that means that you know English there. That means that you can get a job, which is just transformative to their lives. What was the question?
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, I actually want to pull back a little bit, because I think, again, when we think where we live in the context, we are saturated, one, with biblical resources, and then we're saturated with education in schools, like on every block, on every corner, and we just kind of miss it, like, bro, this is not like this everywhere. And the beauty of the church to be able to go into places to provide education, this is like back in how Western civilization came to what it is right now. It was because of Christians stepped up because of the Imago Dei. We're all made in the image of God, and let's educate and make literate all people. It wasn't just those that were high up in government and all those things in between. So that's what I just love about this. So these kids are like, hey, I get to go to school. I have a future to provide for my family now. And so you're providing this. What kinds of students do we have here? So tell me about the demographic of students.
So we start with one grade. So we always start with kindergarten in every field, and then every year we add another grade. And so it builds slowly. These kids have nothing. They are very, very poor. A lot of the time, like they get one meal a day, if that. And so their parents are super excited to send them to school, because that means that someone else in their family gets to eat.
Yeah. So they don't even have to pay for that.
Education is free from us. Yeah. So we do child sponsorship. And so you can sponsor a child, and that's $36 a month for partial, and then $72 for a full sponsorship. And that sponsorship includes their education, their food, medicine, anything that they need is all summed up into that. And so that's how we are providing free education. And so
I want to pause here. We have education.
Yes.
We have healthcare.
Yes.
And we have the gospel.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This
and food.
And food.
Nutrition.
This is a
yes.
full-blown meal here.
Yeah,
We got
yeah.
spiritual, physical, and all the things in between. Okay,
Yeah.
this is awesome. And so you're saying for 70, what'd you say, for the full coverage?
72.
So
a month
72 per child
per child.
would take care of all
Everything they need.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, our name, Bethlehem, it's House of Bread, physical and spiritual needs.
Come on.
And so that's what our goal is, to provide for them, but then also, I mean, most importantly, share the gospel, because that's what matters.
Come on.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I just love the beauty of what you guys are covering and providing and being flexible with that. And I saw from one of your videos that even some Muslims are coming.
Yes.
Because there isn't any education made available for them. And so their Muslim families are hearing the gospel through this school.
Yeah, and they know that we're Christian, and they are just like, we don't have any opportunity for education, and we want our kids to thrive, to survive. And so because of that, we have people, hundreds, that line up outside the door whenever we register students. There's families that move into communities because they're trying to get in, and so that's the level of poverty that these people have. And to provide free education, they're all like, yes, please. And so they come in from all over, and in West Africa, it's 94% Muslim. And so that field specifically, almost all of the kids are Muslim, and there's a lot of persecution there specifically. And so because we own the buildings there, we can share the gospel with them, because it's against the law there
they've
to
put
do it
in
on the
some of
streets.
their laws that you cannot share the gospel.
You cannot
on
share the
streets.
gospel on the streets. You have to do it within a building you own.
This is 2025, y'all. I just want you to process this. It is illegal to share Jesus on the streets. All right, just let that sink in.
And this is a more progressive country too. Like all the ones that surround it, legal across the board. There's no such thing as like property rights, but it makes it possible in this particular country because of the property rights.
Yeah, and persecution's just getting worse there.
Yeah,
it's not getting better. It's getting worse. And so we have security guards on every campus.
Yeah,
we have protection. And a lot of these teachers, they can't claim Christianity publicly, and so for them even to work there, it's a danger for them to be with a Christian organization. And so they're stepping in faith too, to work there, to care for these children, to share the gospel with them, because it's their role too.
Literally their job is being missional.
Yes.
And they're risking their life. This isn't like a game. Like, this isn't just like, again, the lens here in America is like, oh yeah, ministry is so cool. Like, it could be lucrative sometimes, or it could be comfortable. And like this, like, your life is on the line. And so which is wild, which is another point of like praying for the students, praying for the teachers, because there's persecution is just rising in this area as well. With that being said, what does it look like for gospel partnership with you guys? Like, what would it look like if someone's like, dude, I hear what you're doing. I hear what you're doing. How do we come alongside you? How do we pray, give, and go?
That's literally what I was about to say. Pray, give, and go. That's like our motto.
Okay,
So,
let's break it down then. So, like, what is the prayer request for y'all? Let's go there first.
I mean, honestly, pray for salvation. That's first and foremost. We want all of these children to be saved. And then the funds to continue to care and love for them. If we don't have the funds for their sponsorship, then we cannot continue to add a grade every year, if that makes sense. We have to stop.
Okay,
and then
say that again.
If we do not get the funds for the next group of children, we cannot add a grade the next year. Okay. And so we have to skip a grade because we can't do it without people who give. And so we're continuously praying for that. We're praying for people who want to give to infrastructure projects, because we have to have buildings to continue to grow. We have to add a classroom every year. And so we generally do that step by step, because to do it all at once, it would be way too much. And we also want the nationals to be able to grow into that slowly, because if we give them a huge project, they're going to be really overwhelmed. But if we start slow and continue to just give them the guidelines we need, we take a visit to every field every year to continue to make sure that they're doing the things that we have asked and it's going well. So yeah.
That's good. How about for you guys in T&I? How
Good
can
job.
we be praying for y'all? What does that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So a few main things. Number one is, again, very similarly, that the gospel continues to go forth. In some of the countries we're involved in, like we're in Nepal, you're talking 96% Hindu. We're in Malawi, huge prosperity gospel presence there, partly because of the poverty, like those often go hand in hand. In West Africa, you're talking 96% Muslim, so there's a persecution element. Every field has its own challenges and its own obstacles to the gospel, and like we're constantly praying that our pastors would remain faithful, that they would not shy away from the gospel, they'd be protected. We had a pastor in our network who was murdered last year, and it's hard to say like how much of it was because of purely because of his faith, but that definitely was part of the reason that he was a target. So like it's real. It just is, the opposition is real. So prayer for protection for our planters and for the gospel to continue to go forth. And then like one of the main focuses for the next year that we're investing in is how do we create the ongoing discipleship? How do we help foster that? Because we have yearly training conferences, we have resourcing. I mean, I'm submitting a bunch of proposals for building projects for the next year for new church plants. Like we're doing a lot of great things, but the piece of the puzzle that we're trying to attack next is how do we have consistent discipleship rhythms with all of these pastors to make sure that they're healthy, to make sure they're equipped, to make sure that they're trained, all of those things. And part of that is needing the funds to be able to invest there. Like I'm part-time at this point. And so there's just like you bump into the limits of time and resources very quickly when you start thinking super big picture. And so we're just praying that God would provide clear ways to expand and to begin to make real headway in facing some of the and attacking some of those challenges. Those are kind of the two main things.
Yeah,
right now.
I would definitely say like with that prayer in mind is like thinking about Romans 10:14 says, how are they to believe in whom they have never heard?
Yeah.
And how are they to hear without someone preaching?
Yeah.
And then it kind of goes on to how beautiful are the feet of those who bring good news. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, we definitely need to be praying for this. Do we have numbers per se? Olivia, you shared a little bit about how $71 or $72 can take care of a whole child. Can you kind of break down giving wise? What does it look like giving for you guys? How do they give? And then what are some projects they can give to?
Yeah, so we just went through all of our projects for 2026 that we're trying to fundraise. I have a document that I can actually provide.
Okay.
I cannot. There's so many.
There's so many
I
numbers.
can't base it
So
off
we
numbers.
need your money.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Well, I heard a
So-
number before we started the podcast. You said
It's around 500,000
okay.
for everything that we need for 26. We just recently raised about 73,000, but 500, that's a big number.
It's a big
And
number.
so over the next year, we're going to be trying to raise that because we need to continue to add classrooms, to continue to add kids so we can grow. Otherwise, we'll stay where we are to continue to care for the child, because that's most important to us.
Yeah.
We won't continue to build infrastructure until we know that those children are taken care of. So
What's your goal for the current year?
the current year, Oh, we're trying to raise 100,000 by the end of
There's
the year.
the
Yes,
number. There's
sorry.
the number.
It's a little more manageable.
Yes.
You already have
100,000
73.
before the end of the year.
Yes.
All right.
Yes,
all right.
we have 73, and so it's just around.
That's just
20.
around the corner. Yeah,
20.
we'll have a link below for the show notes so you guys can give straight to that. And then also, yeah, is there a giving number or a goal we're aiming for 2026 as we're entering into the new year?
Yeah, so it functions a little differently, just because there's not the same ongoing needs of like the child sponsorships and infrastructure. So what we do is in each field, our national leader will just kind of submit like, hey, these are the needs for this upcoming year. So for West Africa, I got it from my partner Boss there, who's phenomenal, and his name's Boss, which is just amazing.
What up,
Yeah.
boss?
His last name is Boss Ba,
Boss,
Boss
which is even
Ba.
cooler.
It's just
Boss
fun.
Ba.
It's just fun to say.
Oh, dude,
That's how he says it.
that's
It's great.
epic.
Yeah. But some needs that they brought up. So something that we're fundraising for right now is Bibles for West Africa.
Bibles,
Again, I can't name the
Bibles,
country,
Bibles.
but it's in the 1040 window.
Come on.
And so,
Sorry, can you educate our people on the 1040 window? What does that mean?
Yeah, so 1040 window is a region geographically that is, I think the percentage is 99.9% unreached, something around there, to where basically like the extreme majority of people have never heard the gospel, they never heard Jesus, they are completely unreached by the Christian faith, and generally it is very dangerous for people from Western society to go there. Yep. Most of the time you can't even get in. Sometimes if you can get in, you'll face like violence. It's just extremely dangerous, but it's a lot less so for national believers. Again, it's not safe. The persecution is all over the place, but they can at least take the gospel to these places because they're from there. And so in West Africa, where we're involved, we're right at the edge of that 1040 window. The surrounding countries are fully like heavy persecution of Christianity. But a lot of these, so T&I has a full-time missionary that lives over there, and she visited as many of the church. We have 73 church plants in West Africa right now.
That's awesome.
Which is just incredible. A lot of them are house churches, but they're believers in a place where it's illegal to be a believer. And she visited a lot of the pastors and basically just got a number of how many Bibles they need to give to their people. And so that number was something around 1,500 Bibles, which if we get $6,000, that'll pay for all of that, and that's in French, that's in Pular, that's in all these native languages.
I was just about to ask the languages.
Okay. Yeah. So we're trying to raise that amount to then give to my national leader to purchase all of those and then distribute those all across the country to all of these house churches who just don't have
So
the
we're
word
saying
of God.
$6,000 for some Bibles.
Yeah. So that's $4 a Bible. Which
Bruh.
is just phenomenal. So it's nothing.
Come on, guys.
Right. $20, you buy 5, you buy the word of God.
Skip your
for
Starbucks, skip going out to eat, purchase a Bible for a pastor in West Africa.
Yeah. So our website, thenationsinitiative.com, if you go to that, right when you open it up, there'll be a little pop-down window that says Bible Project for the 1040 window. If you click on that, it'll take you to the link where it'll give a bit more information, but then also where you can pledge to give. So that's just like a very tangible project that we're working on right now.
That's super dope.
And something that like my eyes have really been open to over the last year has just been like how far our money can go, how far the American dollar can go. We're building an entire church building in West Africa for $10,000,
Bro.
Which is just insane.
That's insane.
We've built them in Kenya
that's the average wedding cost right now.
Exactly
for one day.
Yeah, 100%, which is just nuts. And like this is a permanent worshiping space for people. Wow. And it's not always that cheap in every field, but it's always a fraction of the cost in the U.S. So $4 for a Bible for a believer in a Muslim country is just, it's nothing. And I think the beautiful part about that is how accessible that makes making a difference. Come on. Because like so often you think, the high-end galas, you're talking donors who are millionaires who have the trust fund money to give, but your everyday average Christian can still pray, they can still give, they can still go and be effective. And our heart for the Nations Initiative and Bethlehem Christian Academy is to provide a means for people to be effective, to do that in a way that feels impactful and worth it and accessible to them.
So let's talk about going. So it's we are called to pray, yes and amen. We are called to give, and we see some of these tangible areas. How can we actually go? What is the onboarding process for that? What does that look like?
Yeah, so in 26 we have 8 trips, and they have recently all filled up. So we will be planning trips for 27 pretty soon. So we'll be dropping those in the next couple months, and so people can go on those trips and they can actually meet these children. You could meet the child that you choose to sponsor if you choose to sponsor a child. You can see the church buildings on campus. We generally take a trip. We take like 15 that go to see the schools, and then 5 pastors that lead a pastoral conference, depending on the field. And so you can come with your church, and your pastors can be discipling pastors, and then the rest of the congregation can be spending time with kids, doing VBS. They can be personally sharing the gospel with these kids, maybe a construction project. We do all kinds of things based off the gifts of the people that are just choosing to go. But yeah, we give a cost of a trip. It's generally, depending upon the field, it changes. But you can see the requirements there. We do 4 trainings before we go, and so that's all you're required to do. We just ask that you are willing to share the gospel and to be positive and to love on these kids.
That's so cool. That is so cool. And then for you, obviously there's a niche there. So you're asking, like, are pastors willing to also come and to give their energy and time? What would that look like if a pastor's watching us right now and they're like, man, I want to join in on that. Like, how do I do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll just give an example. So currently we're prepping for a trip in January to West Africa. And like I mentioned before, we have 73. It was 73. Every time I talk to boss, it's more churches that we have there. So I can't say 100% that that's the current number, but at least plus 73, question mark. 73 pastors across that country. And what that's going to look like is whenever the team hits the ground in January, the majority of them will go to one of the school campuses to pour into the kids and all that. But then we'll take a separate team of pastors. Right now I got 3 or 4 going, and they will go to a bit more central location, and all 73 pastors will be coming out to be trained by them. So cool. And what's really awesome about it is T&I pays for the conference, and that includes the room for the pastors to come out, that includes their travel, that includes their food. So what we're providing is a week-long retreat for these guys to step out of their current context and the stresses of that, and to be just provided for an entire week. Because like the training we give them is absolutely important, but that's the temporary, that's the short term, that's the supplement. But the relationships and just the rest that they get to have with fellow brothers doing the same work for an entire week, not having to worry about all the other stressors of life, is equally, if not more valuable as some of the training that we give them. And so what that's going to look like is, all 73 planters will be coming for the entire week. Every day will involve some teaching, some breakout, some discussion, but then the evenings just look like time for the pastors from the States to just start building relationships, to get to know these guys, to answer their questions.
We'll do bonfires, hang out.
Yeah.
Food together.
It's just brotherhood, and it's beautiful. And it's just so rejuvenating for our pastors on the ground. And then every pastor that is from the States that comes back is just so excited, because they've gotten to pour into someone who doesn't have the same training they do, who doesn't have the same resources they do, but can now leave better equipped to shepherd their flock, and they got to be a part of that. So it's just a really beautiful thing that pastors who have that heart for training and discipleship and leadership development can use those unique gifts in a really cool, practical, tangible way.
And I think that's really big, because I think pastors are introduced to a truckload of different scenarios and things that go on with their congregation, with themselves, even with their marriages and all those things like that. And we think we're alone. but it's actually, I think it'll be phenomenal to even share your experience so that another brother can be encouraged at like, hey, I'm not alone, but then also that the word works, and that the same gospel that saved you is the same gospel that sustains you. And so that's so good in that. I'm reminded by Revelation chapter 7 in this. It says, a great multitude that no one could number, and every nation, tribe, people, and language was standing before the throne crying out, salvation belongs to our God. And I'm just thinking, like, as the gospel goes forth, as the work is being done with you guys, and then like even as a church, what we want to do is be committed to praying and giving and going. And what does this look like for us? This goes all back to the vision. We have a passion for planting churches locally and globally by sharing the good news of Jesus. So how do we do that, church? We do that by praying, giving, and going. And so we'll see what the future holds. We're prayerfully considering, hey, what does 2026 or 2027 look like for us? But these are great ways for us to partner to see the Lord make much of himself all over the world. And so is there any ending thoughts as we wrap up today? Anything that you guys want to share, or any other links or ways that people can connect with you?
I actually have a quick story. I haven't got to tell any stories.
Oh yeah, let's share some stories. I'm so sorry.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, it's so much more personal whenever you can hear like what you can experience in one of these fields. And so I recently went to Malawi. I went on 5 trips this year. It was crazy. But I was in Malawi in August, and I got to meet a little boy named Daniel. And in Malawi, we work right next to a refugee camp, and it was originally created for 5,000 people, but it holds 57,000 people because of just no one having anywhere to go, not having any resources. And so all of these people have ended up into this camp. And so they receive $4.20 every month to provide everything they need. And there's no opportunity for work. There is very limited resources. And so they are drinking dirty water, and they know it. They are maybe getting 1 meal a day, and that's all they have. And so whenever we got into that field, there was only one school, and so many kids. So there's hundreds shoved into this little room, and they're crammed tight, and that's just the only way that they can learn. And so we saw the need for education there. We saw the need for healthy churches. And so we started a school there about 2 years ago. And so these kids that we've taken in, we've added, so we've been there actually 3 years. 3 years this year. And we've had 75 kids. They all live within the camp. And this little boy named Daniel, I got to meet his mom. We got to go into the camp this time to pray over their families, to get to meet these kids, to see exactly like where they were living, what they have, what they don't have. And it was extremely impactful. And so we got to pray over this woman, and she shared a bit of her story. She couldn't speak English, but we had a translator there. And so she had fled from the Congo because her husband gave her the choice, become Muslim or face death from me. So she either had to choose the religion that she did not believe in or die by the hand of her husband. And with her children, all 4 of them. And so she had to make the choice. And so instead of either of those options, which are not ideal, she took all 4 of her children and fled in the middle of the night to get out. And so she ended up in Malawi in this camp, and she's just weeping as she tells this story, as she's holding a baby who's screaming, and there's 3 on the ground, and she's living in a tent, a huge tent, and she's at the very end. And we walked back there, and there's just kids screaming. It's smoky in there because people are lighting fires in a tent. And we just got to stand there with her as she cried and as she shared just the gravity of her story. But there was hope because of Jesus.
Come on.
And so she shared just her love for Christ and how that has radically transformed her family. Wow. And then I got to see Daniel this whole week, and he was being cared for. He was being discipled, and he was being fed daily. And so I got to see how that's impacting her on her $4.20 a month
Wow.
to then get to feed her other children
Wow.
who have nothing. And she hugged us all, and she was thanking us for praying for her and for being there, which was just impactful, just to be there. So these are the stories. These are the things that you experience when you go, and when you get to just really be with them. You won't get to hear that, you won't get to experience that unless you go.
Yeah.
So that's the weight of going, but then the weight of sponsorship, because
Come on.
her other kids will need education. They're going to need meals. They're going to need what we can provide for them. And they're all younger, so eventually they hopefully will get put into our school. But so that's what these people are facing.
That's real, and that's the story of life. And we're so removed. Thank you for sharing that. We're so removed from that world in general. We just kind of go about our day, and we forget that people literally, their lives are on the line. And then the good news of Jesus isn't just centralized in America, right? It is a global movement that brings hope and life and healing to people. It's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. That is a great story. So we are excited to continue our partnership. We're also going to make sure we get you guys in person sometime, so people can actually physically see you at Living Hope. But thank you for tuning in. There are going to be tons of descriptions on how to hear more about the ministry and what's going on. But if you do have any questions, please leave a comment, or you want to know more about the ministry, we'd love to talk to you more about it. We'll catch you guys on Sunday. Peace. I was trying to keep it under 45, but it was good.
You need to ruin it with the story.
Sorry.
No, that was not ruin it. Not ruin it with the story. You amplify it.
Hey, they asked.
No, it was on the list, and I was like, you guys were hitting some things that were already on that list. And so I was like, oh, I'm trying to